Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Daily with Doc. My name is Becca Dukes, and as the hostess of this program, it is my honor and privilege to be a resource for an amazing community. So, folks, as we're letting people into the waiting room and those watching us on the live stream or a recording, a rebroadcast, it doesn't matter how you're listening to us. If somebody specifically referred you to this program, get back with them. They are your primary contact in this thing we call health journey. So, folks, Daily with Doc is a resource, as I said, to an amazing community. This community are people that have a passion for other people, a passion for health, but most of all, a passion to see people thrive, not just barely survive. Now, today is Fridays with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs and myself, Becca Dukes, and we are going to be going a little bit deeper into some of we get a lot of questions. And a lot of people aren't satisfied with just, eat this, don't eat this. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into today's topic. Now, folks, again, if somebody invited you, get back with them. If there's no one to thank, we have an amazing call team of certified holistic health coaches on the line ready to help you. And that is for people who have not taken any of the products that are mentioned on our program, who are not already associated or referred to by somebody specific. 855-949-3377. Now today on Pharmacist Fridays, or Fridays with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, we have the amazing Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, who has been looking into pharmacy and nutrition for 40 years. Not quite 40. Just kidding, Ben. You're not that old, but almost. No, folks, I absolutely adore this gentleman as one of my mentors and just an amazing business partner. He is so full of information that goes right along with Dr. Wallach's research. He found the importance of what Dr. Wallach had done in his life as a pathologist, the discoveries that he made, how nutritional deficiencies linked to different poor health conditions. And even before meeting Dr. Wallach, Pharmacist Ben was making recommendations to patients that were coming into the pharmacy as nutrition to help with different types of conditions. Well, that actually got him fired, but that led him to bigger and better things. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs is a compounding pharmacist. He has a passion again for nutrition. He has his own business in skincare and helping people with products that are nutriating. And he uses longevity products to nutriate from the inside out. So without further ado, I am excited to have Pharmacist Ben Fuchs on with us. And if you are joining us via phone and you have a question, you can raise your hand by doing *9. And then when you're called upon, we'll ask you to unmute, and you can do *6 to unmute, but please don't do *6 until we ask you to, because it won't do any good. And if you're here live with us in the Zoom room and you'd like to ask a question, find that option in the Zoom menu to raise your hand. We'll be going through and answering questions in the order that they were received. If you're out on any of the different platforms during this live Zoom, you can put your questions into the comments of Facebook, Rumble, or YouTube. I think we can also do on X. But we do have people on our team that are watching those chats so that as your question comes in, we will be able to answer them as well. If we don't get to your question, email us questions@dailywithdoc.com. Let us know if you are already on the products, if you're working with somebody specific, because we want to make sure that if you are, we answer those questions appropriately. The recommendations are not going to be the same, but we want to make sure that you get back with the person that shared this program with you. So folks, this program is being sponsored by Daily with Doc. On Daily with Doc, we have the good foods, bad foods list. We have replays of previous episodes of Daily with Doc and Pharmacist Ben Bites and additional articles and video bites that give more information to help you create a better health journey. So without further ado, it is my honor and privilege to bring to the screen with me Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Hello, Ben. How are you?
Well, hello there, Becca Dukes. Nice to see you. Thanks for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate it. I started studying nutrition in pharmacy school in 1982.
See, I told you it's not quite 40 years.
No, what are you talking about? It's almost 43 years.
43?
82, 2024. Long time.
Know, as a statistician, it was the simple math that really got me. So you're right. Okay, over 40 years. I was right. So Pharmacist Ben.
Yes.
It is crazy. There's no way that, it doesn't seem possible that you could have studied nutrition that long.
It's crazy, right? And you know what? Back in the 1980s, we didn't really know a lot about clinical nutrition. Dr. Wallach was one of the first guys to really understand the importance of using micronutrients to deal with chronic health challenges. In the 1980s, it was sort of you were a health nut if you worked with vitamins and nutrients. Remember that term, health nut? You don't hear that much anymore. People say you're a health nut. And so Dr. Wallach, man, when I first heard that Dead Doctors Don't Lie tape, holy cow, I was on fire. I've been talking about that stuff. I've been doing talks and I learned in pharmacy school the stuff Dr. Wallach was talking about on the tape. And I was like, who is this guy? How does he know all this stuff? And, cut to 40 years later, and now it's common knowledge. You use vitamin C for colds and zinc for acne and probiotics for digestive health issues. Although there's still a lot of room. There's still a lot of room for growth in terms of our understanding of how nutritional supplementation and nutrients can help us with the disease state, especially considering the fact that doctors are so doctored. Remember, I said yesterday, I don't know if I said this to you yesterday, when you go to the word doctor is not necessarily a kind thing. If you go to court and you say, here's my taxes, or here's the evidence, it's doctored. That's not a great thing, is it? Right?
No, that's not a good
thing
at all.
You go to court and say, Judge, here's the evidence, Judge. Or you go to the IRS with the taxes and say, here's my taxes, IRS guy. They're doctored. What does that mean? That's not good, right? When you doctor something, you commit a fraud. And so to doctor is really to commit a fraud in the sense that we pretend we're healthy because our blood pressure has been dropped, or our heart's not racing as fast, or our blood sugar levels are not as high as they were before we took our drugs. We artificially contrive metrics that are supposed to determine whether or not we're healthy, when in fact it's biochemistry that determines whether we're healthy, not metrics, not test scores. In any case, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy that there's people who understand the power and the importance of micronutrient supplementation and macronutrient supplementation as well. And I'm happy to answer questions and help you out any way I can.
Well, that's a great analogy, the doctored.
Yeah.
Not many people think of it that way.
Right. It's become mythologized, and the MD has become the medical deity, really based on marketing. And so for most people, when you're sick, you go to the doctor. We don't think that we can take care of our cold ourselves, our acne ourselves, our arthritis ourselves, or whatever our chronic degenerative disease condition is ourselves. We never think we can do it ourselves. We automatically, if we're like most people, we automatically go to get it doctored.
Well, and you had mentioned like the vitamin C, the zinc, and those are like reactive type things that people are doing. But I think, and I was in that reactive stage.
As opposed to proactive? As opposed to proactive.
More proactive.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We on these calls are always talking to people who have health challenges. So the implication is, oh, I'm sick. I use, the Healthy Start Pack or the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack or whatever it is. I'm sick. But first of all, you don't have to be sick to benefit from nutritional supplementation. Everybody needs nutritional supplementation. Athletes need it, and young people need it, and people in the prime of their lives need it, and people who just want to live a good, long life, even if they don't have any health challenges, need it. And sometimes, I know you probably get this question, how long do I need to stay on my nutritional supplements? How long do I need to stay on, right? It's like, that's crazy, right? These things are the minimum wage for being healthy. They're the bare bones minimum for being healthy. There's a lot of things you got to do to be healthy, but the bare bones minimum is to make sure that you have copious and generous amounts of micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and fatty acids, 90 for life, the mighty 90 essential nutrients, whatever you call it. Thank you, Dr. Wallach, for being the prophet, if you will, of micronutrient supplementation, understanding the importance, and that's why we're all here today, and that's why I'm here today.
Well, and you mentioned the minimum wage. Minerals are the currency of life.
Yes, they are.
So I think that goes right with minimum wage.
Wealth and health go together. Wealth and health go together. Absolutely. The best wealth is health. You can't be wealthy if you're not healthy. No matter how much money you have, you're not going to be truly wealthy if you can't figure out how, if you're too sick to be able to use or enjoy your financial gains. And ask anybody who's sick and has money, and they'll tell you they'd rather be healthy and have no money than to be have some kind of chronic illness and have money.
That's right. If you're sick and you're spending all of your money, or half of your money even,
or your time and attention, right,
on being sick. Yeah.
All right.
So
what do we got?
Well, I get this question a lot.
Yes.
Cholesterol. And the title of today's
cholesterol
is the good
cholesterol. Okay.
So we're going to be deciphering the difference between HDL and LDL. Pharmacist
First of all,
Ben.
HDL and LDL are not cholesterol. Let's be clear about that. HDL is not cholesterol. LDL is not cholesterol. I hope I'm shocking people with that statement, because it's such, it's assumed when you hear HDL and LDL, you're talking about cholesterol. HDL is high density lipoprotein. LDL is low density lipoprotein. There's no cholesterol there. A lipoprotein is a bubble. The blood is made up, well, basically, quick digression, oil and water don't mix, right?
Right.
Oil and water don't mix. So how do fats get distributed in the blood? If the blood is watery, the blood is liquid, how can fats get distributed in the blood? Oil and water don't mix. It'll glob up in the blood. How do you do that? Well, the body has come up with a very elegant mechanism for transporting fatty molecules in the blood. It essentially puts them in a bubble. Remember Glinda the Good Witch on The Wizard of Oz? She came in a bubble, out in the bubble, right? Well, essentially, that's what the body does to transport fatty material through the blood. It puts it in a bubble that has a fatty inside and a watery outside. The fatty inside of this bubble, the fatty lining, if you will, of this bubble, can attract fats, and fats can stick because like attracts like. And the watery outside of this bubble allows this entire complex to flow through the blood. So HDL, high-density lipoprotein, and low-density lipoprotein, or very low-density lipoprotein, VLDL, are lipo, meaning fat, bubbles that are surrounded with protein. They're a lipoprotein. Protein's water-soluble. The fat is fat-soluble. So you got this bubble with a fatty inside and a watery outside that's perfect for transporting fats through a watery medium, i.e. the blood, and has fats, a perfect compartment for fats on the inside. Does that make sense? It's like Glinda the Good Witch traveling in a bubble. Fats can travel around in a bubble through the blood. HDL and LDL are bubbles. They're carriers, and they transport fats. One of the most important fats they transport is cholesterol, which is a kind of waxy, fatty material. So it's not HDL that's the problem, or it's not HDL that they're talking about. It's HDL cholesterol and LDL cholesterol. The cholesterol is the same. The cholesterol molecule is the same. HDL is just carrying it, and LDL is carrying it. Turns out that HDL is carrying it into the liver from the blood, and LDL is carrying it from the liver to the cells, to the organs in the cells. They're going to use the cholesterol. So HDL and LDL cholesterol refer to directions. Make sense? HDL cholesterol is going from the blood to the liver. LDL cholesterol is going from the liver to the blood. So why is it going from the liver to the blood? To be used. It's not going to the liver and the blood just for the heck of it. It's going to be used to make hormones. It's going to be used to make cells, and going to make the covering, the sheath of nerve cells, and to protect the skin and all the other wonderful things cholesterol is important for doing. So what doctors, and what, again, we talk about metrics and tests when they do these epidemiological tests, and that's a whole other story, epidemiological surveys and studies where they interview people. They found that when people had higher levels of LDL, they tended to have more heart disease, and higher levels of HDL were protective. But that actually is not the case, as it turns out, because the more they study it, the more they see that people with LDL, with low LDL levels, which are supposedly good, die of heart attacks all the time, and people with high HDL levels, which are supposedly good, die of heart attacks all the time. So these are irrelevant markers. They're meaningless. The cholesterol molecule is the same. LDL and HDL are simply referring to directions. The myth that low LDL or high LDL is bad and high HDL is good is mythological. And anybody who pays attention to that, any healthcare professional who pays attention to that, is simply repeating myths and concepts and ideas that they learned about in school. They're not using their logic. They're not using their understanding, because LDL obviously is important because it's going to make structures. And as it turns out, LDL is very important for the immune system. And LDL and high HDL can also be problematic. So HDL and LDL are meaningless. Don't pay attention to them. What you need to pay attention to, however, is why cholesterol levels rise. Why do people have high levels of cholesterol? Why is the body producing lots of cholesterol? Well, then you have to go and say, what is cholesterol? what does cholesterol do? Cholesterol, simply put, is the molecule that represents the difference between plants and animals. Plants don't make cholesterol. Only animals make cholesterol. So cholesterol represents a distinguishing marker between animals and plants. So what is it that distinguishes animals from plants, aside from the marker? Plants don't move. Plants don't have a brain, and plants don't have a nervous system. Plants don't have steroid hormones, growth hormones. They have certain growth hormones, but they're not steroid hormones. So it turns out that cholesterol is a movement molecule. It's a thinking molecule. It's a nervous system molecule. It's a muscle molecule. It's a stress management molecule. It's important for growth and repair and for anti-aging. And in short, cholesterol helps us deal with life, with the vicissitudes, the ups, the downs, the immune attacks, the damage, the traumas. All of this is modulated or mitigated or controlled or regulated by cholesterol and its derivatives. The cholesterol molecule and its derivatives help us deal with life. So the more stress you're under, the more cholesterol you're going to make. The more your body thinks it's supposed to be building, the more cholesterol you're going to make. Cholesterol helps us build. Cholesterol helps us deal with stress. So the question is why do cholesterol levels go up? It's because the body is under duress. The major duress being sugar. The real problem is we have tricked the body into thinking it's supposed to be growing. Sugar signals growth, and concomitant associated insulin signal growth. When we eat sugar and our insulin goes up, our body says, oh, we're supposed to be building muscle. We're supposed to be growing. The problem is, instead of doing things that grow muscle, we're eating the sugar and sitting on our butts. So all that cholesterol is not being used to build muscle because nobody's lifting weights and nobody's exercising and nobody's doing the things that they're supposed to do to build muscle. So the biochemical signals for growth are there, but the triggers for growth aren't. So if you're a bodybuilder, your cholesterol levels are going to be higher. If you're pregnant, your cholesterol levels are going to be higher. These are all important because cholesterol is going to help you make a baby and cholesterol is going to help you build muscle. But if you're an average couch potato, your cholesterol levels are going to be higher, but you're not going to have muscle. And cholesterol levels rise. Cholesterol is like all fats, is very unstable. And the breakdown product of cholesterol, or oxidized cholesterol, as they say, is very problematic. So while cholesterol itself is not a problem, oxidized cholesterol is. The reason heart disease is associated with cholesterol is not the cholesterol, it's the sugar that caused the cholesterol. And any diabetic will tell you, any diabetics out there know that their cholesterol and their blood sugar elevated cholesterol and elevated blood sugar go hand in hand. There's actually even drugs that take care of sugar and cholesterol at the same time. So elevated cholesterol is a blood sugar and insulin problem. That is a problem, blood sugar and insulin. Elevated cholesterol is not necessarily a problem if it's not oxidized, and there's things that you could do to protect yourself from it, but blood sugar and insulin are. If you have high cholesterol, if you've been told you have high cholesterol, you don't need, and you probably don't want, a statin drug, period. And I wish there was a cardiologist on this call that I could talk to, because I hate having to say it behind their backs. It's stupidity to try to treat cholesterol with a statin drug without addressing blood sugar and insulin. Pure biochemical ignorance. Because cholesterol is such an important substance. When you artificially or pharmacologically suppress its production at the level of the cells that make cholesterol by suppressing an enzyme, not only are you poisoning the cell, because that's how drugs work, and not only are you putting a burden on the liver, which is going to detoxify that drug, and it's going to cost you copper and vitamin C and magnesium and other nutrients to detoxify that substance, but even worse, the same biochemistry that makes cholesterol also makes coenzyme Q10, which is one of the most important cardiovascular nutrients that are non-essential that you could ever use. In fact, everybody on with heart disease should be using coenzyme Q10, and it's suppressed by statin drugs, which you're taking for your heart. See the stupidity here. So there's always going to be a cost with prescription drugs. But in this case, with cholesterol drugs, they call them HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, which inhibit this enzyme, you're also going to be depriving yourself of other substances which are critically important for cardiovascular health, not to mention brain health and the health of the liver and the health of really all cells, because coenzyme Q10 is very important for the production of energy. So you're poisoning the body in order to help the body. Does that make sense to anybody? With the exception of an emergency, when you absolutely need an antihypertensive, or you're in severe pain, or you have an infection, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you take a substance that would make a healthy person sick if you're a sick person? If you take a prescription drug and you're a healthy person, you're going to get very sick. How can that be good for anybody? It doesn't even make any sense. I'm telling you this as a pharmacist. So if you want to lower, first of all, we should be in love with cholesterol. And Doc's been talking about this for years. Cholesterol is incredibly, incredibly important. You don't want to heat your cholesterol-containing foods. And most cholesterol is made by the body. It's not in foods. But if you're eating cholesterol, you don't want to heat your eggs too much. You don't want to burn your, you don't want to fry your eggs, that kind of thing. Because cholesterol is unstable in the body. If you're making too much cholesterol inside, your cells are making too much cholesterol, it's a blood sugar issue. Treat yourself like a diabetic, get yourself on the healthy blood sugar pack, and it's no accident that the nutrients that are known to lower cholesterol, such as niacin and chromium, are also known to lower blood sugar. They go together. So elevated cholesterol is a blood sugar issue, not a cholesterol issue. Cholesterol is very important stuff for coping, for dealing with life. If you want to suppress a culture's ability to deal with the vicissitudes and ups and downs of life, shut down their cholesterol-making machinery. And for women, by the way, and men, now that I think about it, who are on hormone replacement therapy, guess what the raw material for estrogen is? Guess what the raw material for testosterone is? Guess what the raw material for progesterone is? Guess what the raw material for vitamin D is? Guess what the raw material for bile is? Cholesterol it's unspeakably important. Making cells as a precursor to steroid hormones and vitamin D, important for the function of the nervous system and the muscles. It's absolute insanity to poison the cholesterol manufacturing system from a biochemical perspective, not necessarily from a clinical perspective, because clinical chemists or clinical practitioners aren't biochemists. So to a clinical practitioner, they're just looking at the numbers. And that's a really important difference, a really important distinction between clinical chemistry and biochemistry. We don't really make that distinction as often as we should. Clinical chemistry is the chemistry of the clinic. That's the chemistry of test scores. Oh, what's your cholesterol? What's your blood glucose? What's your TSH? What's your BMR? They test these numbers and then they put them into their computer and the statistics. Oh, you're high. Oh, you're low. Nobody's high and low. These are all statistics. There's a common experience that people have when they have all the conditions of all the symptoms of a health condition. The doctor says, "Oh no, your thyroid's fine. Here's some Prozac because you're depressed." Oh yeah, you don't really have any pain. There's nothing here that should make you in pain. Here's some gabapentin. So that's the chemistry of the clinic. That's the chemistry test scores. But guess what? We're biological entities. We're not statistical entities. So you want to go to a biochemist if you really want to understand how your body's put together, and it's biochemistry that determines how healthy or not healthy we are, not clinical chemistry.
And folks, now you know why I wanted Ben to talk about cholesterol and LDL and HDL.
Yes.
I have doctors, Ben, that I am going to be sending this to right after the show, because it is something that they're so used to, that clinical setting.
Yes.
And looking at
test
the
scores.
blood results, test scores.
Yes. Well, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And so their tools are hammers. So they treat everything like it's a nail. And again, I've said this before, but it really bears repeating. If you go to a doctor, you're going to get doctored. You can't go to a doctor and then expect to get nutritioned. It doesn't work that way. You know, if you have a carpenter who's the best carpenter in the world, who can build the best cabinets in the world, and you tell him to fix your engine, he's going to take a hammer and nail and destroy your transmission. You know, so because his tools are hammer and nail. You can't go to a doctor and expect to get nutrition or expect to get an alternative, so-called alternative healing protocol. He doctors. That's what he does. You know, it's like the scorpion and the frog. And I don't want to repeat that story again because I've told it so many times, but I'm a scorpion. That's what I do.
Well, and that's how they've been taught.
Yes, and it's not their fault.
Not knowing.
The arrogance, the part where that really gets people like myself and Dr. Wallach, I could be so presumptuous, is there's an arrogance associated with it. There's this idea that they're smarter than everybody else. And despite the fact that we have more doctors per capita than any other culture in the history of the planet, and we're the sickest, simultaneously the sickest culture, with more obesity and more Alzheimer's disease and more dysglycemia and more cancer and a lifespan that decreases every year under the watchful eye of the doctor or the medical model, if you will. So there's a certain arrogance that is really, to people who understand how the whole game is played, that can be a little bit irritating and a little bit galling. If you're a doctor, you should be very humble because you really aren't necessarily doing a great job for people's health, even if you're mitigating symptoms. And that is sometimes, something that we're looking to do, especially if you're in pain. But as far as helping people, it's not a doctoring issue. If you go to a doctor, you're going to get doctored. And that means commit a fraud, at least in terms of determining whether or not you're healthy. Just because you're mechanically lowered your blood pressure doesn't mean you're healthy.
But I think the great thing about it, Pharmacist Ben, is in having the nutrition education that they can get outside of medical school, they actually can do more good than what they're doing.
If they studied nutrition?
If they studied nutrition and implemented.
Because nutrition is God's medicine. It's divine medicine. It's the medicine, if you will, that we're supposed to be using. Let food be thy medicine. Hippocrates said it 300 BC, 2,500 years ago. We knew, let food be thy medicine, let medicine be thy food. It's only been since the 1800s, since the middle of the 19th century, really, that this whole pharmacological model came about that said that we can poison the body back to health. It's a very recent phenomenon. Sometimes people ask me why I'm a nutritional pharmacist, and I say, pharmacy used to be about nutrition as well as herbs and homeopathy. It's only very recently, last 150 or 160 years, that pharmacy became about pharmaceuticals, and that is drugs that suppress and shut down the body's biochemical functions. So that's cholesterol. What's another question here?
Well, so I just want to kind of comment on that because, homeopathy here in the States is under fire, which breaks my heart. Homeopathy is the way that I made it through all of my pain and discomfort because I couldn't take the pharmaceuticals. And then I found the nutrition, which addressed the underlying cause.
Right. Homeopathy isn't necessarily.
I don't need either.
Homeopathy is a really interesting science. We could do a little talk on homeopathy sometime.
Let's do that next week.
Yeah, because it's kind of interesting. It's not nutrition though, and I don't consider myself a homeopathist. Although, like you say, there are people who can get benefits from homeopathy. Homeopathy again leverages the body's power to do the work by triggering certain chemical reactions, certain biochemical reactions that heal or fight diseases. I still prefer nutrition as a modality. That's the way I like to work.
No, absolutely. But like I said, that's what got me through because I couldn't use the pharmaceuticals to mask pain and the discomfort. And then I found the nutrition, and then I didn't have the pain and discomfort anymore to try to mask. So, things, it just, we need more doctors to learn about nutrition, folks, and the importance of it. And not just as reactive, but let's take it upon ourselves to be proactive. Even if we've got stuff going on, we need to nutriate the body and let the body do what it was designed to do. Pharmacist Ben, we have hands up. We have questions that have come in. Well, let's go ahead and go to the first hand that is up. And it is none other than AJ.
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 What's up, brother?
Long time no see, Pharmacist Ben.
Yes, sir. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, and thank you for all you do. You and Doc are, you know,
I
amazing
appreciate
people, and I appreciate all the time that you give us every nanosecond of it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What's going on?
I got some disturbing emails here.
Oh no.
Yeah, James says, and let me read through this. I'm going to try and summarize, but I saw the brain doc today. The top of my head is a tumor.
Oh no.
And does ivermectin remove growths or cancer? There's more. And about the size of a chicken egg, pressing on my brain. Another MRI in 9 months to see if it's growing. Waiting to see a heart doctor. AFib, fast heartbeats. Nurse friend says it's heart failure. I need to take it seriously. I'm tired and weak, and stress is high so far. It seems like all the poison or infection in my body might be gone. It's because my appendices ruptured.
Oh my goodness.
It's infected as well. Tomorrow I see post-op to get checked out once again, an x-ray, CAT scan. Please help me. Jesus Christ, I need Father, mercy, mercy.
This guy's wasting his time and his money and his hope. There's nothing they're going to be able to do from a doctor perspective for all that stuff. His body is under major, major attack. I used to say duress, but I want it to be really graphic here. It's under attack. First of all, cancer only happens when the body is under major stress, major duress, cells specifically. And that's very important. There's no real cancer in an organ or gland. It's a cellular phenomenon. When cells become duressed, and there's only 3 things that will duress a cell, that's toxicity, suffocation, and starvation. Suffocation, starvation, toxification. Cells will, hopefully, in the best case scenario, die. But the worst case scenario is they won't die. They'll go backwards in time and become a primitive cell. Human cells, animal cells, plant cells are advanced. They're very complicated. A cell, when we see a cell in from our high school biology class, when most people think of a cell, they think of a circle with a few things inside it, right? You know what I'm talking about? That ain't a cell. That's a very simplistic, childish model of what a cell really is. First of all, a cell is not a circle. It's a sphere. It's a blob, a drop. And within that drop are millions and millions and millions and millions of molecules and atoms and working parts and substructures that are constantly being broken down and rearranged, and literally a billion different chemical reactions are happening a second in an advanced cell. And this requires a lot of energy and a lot of nutrition and a clean place to do its work. Ancient cells, primitive cells, which came on Earth about 3.5 billion years ago, are nowhere near as complicated. We still have remnants of those proto-cells, they call them prokaryotes, here on Earth, and that's what bacteria are. What is a bacteria? Does a bacteria form organs? Does a bacteria make a body or make an animal? No, a bacteria just forms films. And does a bacteria do anything? No, it just repeats. It just reproduces. It just continuously grows and reproduces and grows and reproduces. That's all a bacterial cell can do. It's a backwards, primitive, ancient cell. It's a prokaryote. Advanced cells, like in our bodies, are very advanced. It's like a Lamborghini compared to a Model T, or even a Lamborghini compared to like a camel. That's the relationship between a prokaryote and a eukaryote. So under ordinary conditions, when a eukaryote is stressed out, it's starved, it's suffocated, it's toxic, it's going to die. First, it'll become less functional, and then it'll die. That's good. You want it dying. However, every once in a while, rarely really in the scheme of things, this advanced cell, which is called a eukaryote, EU meaning good, eukaryote, will go backwards in time and become a prokaryote. This is a stress management strategy. I can't deal with all the stress, so now I'm just going to simplify. It's kind of like when your computer goes on safe mode, right? You ever seen your computer on safe mode? When your computer's all freaked out, it'll just go into safe mode. A prokaryote is like a eukaryote going into safe mode. Can't do everything, but at least it exists. But this only happens under great duress. It's a coping mechanism. This is why there's never going to be a cure for cancer. There's never. They can put all the billions of dollars into a war on cancer, but as long as there's duress, as long as there's starvation, suffocation, and toxification, as long as there's malnutrition in terms of a cell, as long as there's a hypoxia, lack of oxygen in terms of a cell, as long as there's toxicity, and you can only imagine what a cell is thinking with the kind of stuff we're ingesting in terms of toxicity, there's going to be cells that become prokaryotes, and there's going to be cancer. This is a guy who's got this tumor, and obviously that's not a good thing, but look at all the other things that have been going on in his body preceding that. So how are they going to address this without addressing all these other things? The good news is the sicker we are, the faster we can turn this thing around. Now, it will take you, if you're really sick, it's going to take you a long time to completely turn it around, but the faster you can begin the process. If you're smoking cigarettes, between cigarettes, your lungs are healing. If you're eating a food that's irritating your intestine, between meals, between that food, your intestine is healing. The body kicks into healing as soon as the stressors are removed. So, unless this guy is injecting things through his skin, which counts as a major stressor, the problem is going to be food. Now, he said he had appendicitis. That's a part of the digestive system. So, it's pretty obvious that there's going to be a food issue. So for a guy like that, you want to hit the reset button. You want to stop everything, clean out the system. And what I'd be doing for him right from the get-go is I would be I'd be fasting, stopping the intake of food. Then I'd be working on digestive health with the I-26, with the ultimate enzymes, with the nightly essence, with the ultimate microbiome, with the daily digest, everything he could do for digestive support. Now, it turns out he also has cardiovascular issues. The cardiovascular issues, the AFib, and what was the other thing you said in addition to AFib?
In addition to AFib, he's got... well, they thought that he had, the B vitamins, congestive heart failure.
Oh, congestive heart failure. Okay, got it. So he's got cardiovascular issues there too. Now, congestive heart failure is caused by the heart working too hard. Heart failure, congestive are the operative words. There's too much thickness in the blood. The blood is working, the heart is working very hard to pump the blood through. That tells me that there's lots of inflammatory factors in the blood. That means he's not getting oxygen to his tissues, including his heart. Heart uses up a lot of oxygen. So congestive heart failure and atrial fibrillation are the end result of long-term inflammation and hypoxia, low oxygen. Blood sugar issues are probably also involved. Doc talks about osteoporosis of the skull and calcification, and that's probably also involved. But basically, it's an inflammatory issue. And this is really important what I'm going to say now, okay? All chronic disease is inflammatory in nature. All of it. There's no such thing as a chronic condition that is not inflammatory. So right away, you have a major mechanism for dealing with a chronic degenerative disease. There's lots of little things you got to do to employ it, but from a theoretical standpoint, there's only one thing, and that is to figure out what's causing the inflammation and eliminate that. So what is inflammation? Inflammation is a protective response, a defensive response. Inflammation is a sign that the body is defending itself. And this is a little tricky because when most of us think of inflammation, we think of a black eye, or we think of a sprained ankle. And we all know that when we have a black eye, we have a sprained ankle, we can see inflammation. You can see the puffiness. You can see the redness. You can feel the pain or the warmth. In medical school, they say dolor, calor, rubor, and tumor. Those are the four cardinal signs of inflammation. Dolor means pain, rubor means redness, calor means heat, and tumor means swelling or growth. Those are the four cardinal signs of inflammation, and we all know that. But what we don't recognize is the same defensive response. Oh, by the way, this inflammatory is dolor, calor, rubor, and tumor is a sign of an airbag protecting your orbital bone, or protecting your ankle bone, or protecting your knee bone. It's like a cushion that segregates that area to protect that area. So inflammation is like an airbag. It's a protective response. It's a defensive response. We all know that with a black eye. But what we don't know is there's inflammation that occurs microscopically. It's a microcosm. It's a small miniature version of a black eye, except it's happening at the level of a cell. And this inflammatory response at the level of a cell, you could call microinflammation versus macroinflammation, is responsible for every single chronic degenerative disease you can name, every one of them. They all have this in common because microinflammation disturbs the cellular environment. The cell can't get fed properly. It can't get oxygenated properly. It can't eliminate toxins. So these microinflammatory walls around a cell disturb the cell's chemistry, and health is all about the cell. So this guy has been dealing with microinflammation for a long time, and now it's affecting his heart. It probably started off at the digestive system. It's causing cells to divide, to become prokaryotic versus eukaryotic. It's creating havoc in his body, but that's good news because it's all about a defensive response. Everything. His appendicitis and his AFib and his congestive heart failure and his tumor, they're all the manifestation of inflammation, which is a defensive response. And if you want to end a defensive response, what do? Logically, not medically. Logically.
Get rid of the offending agent.
Exactly. Exactly. It's as simple as that. And you can help the body get rid of that offending agent with nutrition. So first, with all these conditions, all chronic degenerative conditions, you stop the bleeding. That's the first step. No matter what your chronic disease is, stop the bleeding. I'm being metaphorical here. I say stop the bleeding, stop the entrance of toxicity into the bloodstream through the skin. Now, if you're shooting things in through your IV, that you got to address that too. But for most people, it's going to be food. And food is a little tricky because people don't want to hear about it. But the fact is the food we eat today didn't exist a mere 100 years ago or 150 years ago. You can't go into the supermarket and find one single food that existed in 1850. Not even the chicken and the meat and the eggs and the produce. If you factor in the glyphosate and the grains and the pesticides and all the other things that we're feeding the animals, hormones and antibiotics, etc. There's not a single food we can eat today that existed 150 years ago. Yet our bodies are 1 million years old, 2 million years old. And so in the last 100 years, we completely changed everything we eat. So we can't do anything about that, but you can be very, very careful. And that means you can just be respectful of everything you put into your mouth in terms of food. It's important for everybody, but especially for this guy or anybody who's dealing with multiple chronic diseases. Stop the bleeding. Change the way you eat, and that means eat as little as possible. We all love to eat. I love the Food Channel. I look on YouTubes. I watch Chef Ramsay making the hamburgers. I'm fascinated with it. I'm sure a lot of people are. Nonetheless, the less you eat, the longer you'll live. Eat as little as possible. Stop eating when you're full. Eat like a lion. That's what we want to do. We want to eat like a lion in the jungle. The lion in the jungle stops eating when it's full and only eats what it's supposed to eat. It doesn't eat when it's depressed. It doesn't eat when it's bored. It doesn't eat when just because it likes the flavor of something. It eats when it needs to eat. It stops eating when it doesn't. We become domesticated and it's costing us. The only animals that suffer from chronic degenerative diseases are domesticated animals, cats and dogs, and probably livestock and humans. And so we've been domesticated. Don't be domesticated. You want to be like a wild animal in terms of how you take care of your health, especially in terms of food. So immediately he's going to notice benefits. He's going to notice he feels better when he stops eating whatever's getting into a system that's triggering the inflammatory response. Then you want to pound the nutrition, especially two types of nutrition. Number one, electrical nutrition. The heart is obviously an electrical system. And the electrical nutrients are going to be your plant-derived minerals and your B vitamins and your essential fats. They're all pretty much electrical, but those are super electrical. Ultimate EFAs, I'd be taking 12 or 16 a day if I was this guy. Beyond Tangy Tangerine, which is an awesome source of the B complex, also Rise and Restore. We should talk about that someday, the Rise and Restore. Great sources of the B complex. Pound them. The B complex are water soluble. You urinate them out every time you go to the bathroom. So keep them coming. Likewise, vitamin C, and I'd actually be throwing in the CFX, Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. He might also want to throw in, I think the Ultimate Selenium is in the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. So include the Ultimate Selenium. I would also include the Ultimate Niacin, which is important for blood sugar and also for the cardiovascular system, for the heart.
Ultimate Daily Classic?
What's that?
Ultimate Daily Classic?
Ultimate Niacin.
I heard that. Ultimate Daily Classic?
That wouldn't hurt him, but you know, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine will cover that.
Okay.
And then if he could fast, that's great, intermittent fasting, or at least calorie restriction, do a food diary, eliminate problem foods. And know psychologically, this is important, that the sicker you are, the faster you can begin the turnaround process. And just reassure him of that. If he's really serious about it, he can begin to notice results very, very quickly. Between cigarettes, your lungs heal. Between the bad stuff, your body starts to heal.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pharmacist Ben. And
Yes.
right after this call, I'm going to become a feral cat.
Yes, feral. Exactly. Exactly. You want to be like, oh, wow. We've lost our edge. We're killing ourselves with comfort. We want to have an edge, man.
So we're going to get that edge back for many people, Pharmacist Ben.
Yes.
So Brian had put a comment in the chat in regards to a friend that has pancreatic cancer. So Brian, I hope you just listened to the last 15, 20 minutes of what Pharmacist Ben was saying and share it with your friend. Anyone whose bodies are under attack. And I like the fact that you went from duress to attack.
Yeah, exactly. It's attack is what it is.
People
We're
understand. Yeah, people understand attack.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Absolutely.
Right. Pancreatic cancer is really, it's the worst cancer that you can have because the pancreas is where you're making enzymes. And once you got a pancreatic problem, you're going to have an enzyme problem, and that wreaks havoc on the body. So interestingly, the pancreas is responsible for digestion, especially sugar metabolism, but also for the production of pancreatic juices, which are important for the digestion of fats. So again, you see the relationship between the intake of food and the types of food we eat and how disease shows up. So pancreatic cancer is an awful, awful cancer, and heavy pancreases or pancreases that weigh a lot it's a common occurrence. Pancreatitis is somewhat common as well. You don't want anything to go wrong with your pancreas, ever. I call the pancreas Mr. Cellophane because it's transparent. We don't see the pancreas. We never even think about the pancreas, but it's arguably one of the most, it's one of the most important structures in the body, arguably the most important structure in the body, at least from a life and death perspective.
Wow. All right. Well, Pharmacist Ben, I have at least 8 more questions here, and each one could take 15, 20, but let's go ahead and take this next one here. Leanne is writing in, and she's here listening right now in regards to her father. He's 84 years old, 145 pounds with extreme arthritis, type 2 diabetic, peripheral artery disease, heart disease, had a triple bypass 7 years ago, has very poor blood flow to the lower extremities, and is currently under close care for a foot wound. This morning, the doctor said his right femoral artery is mostly blocked and will need surgery if blood flow does not improve. She's wanting to know what supplements.
Look, he's already in a very deteriorated state. I wish we could have talked to him 20 years ago, but this guy keeps going to the doc. What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Right. So you keep going back and back and back and expecting a different result. You're not going to get a different result. They're not going to help you. Triangle of disease. First 2 points. Everything's screaming blood sugar here. Everything screaming dysglycemia, messed up blood sugar, which in turn involves intestinal health and liver health and gallbladder health. So the first 2 points, I call it the triangle because it's really 3 points that are involved, but to simplify, blood sugar and digestive health. So first, with an 81-year-old, it's going to be a little tricky because typically people don't want to change when they're older. So we're just going to assume he's a special 81-year-old and wants to change. Calorie restriction. Calories represent a burden to the body, something the body has to process. When somebody is this sick, the question is, do I want to process my calories or do I want to recover? Do I want to expend my precious resources digesting my food, or do I want to expend my resources on healing? So the less calories he ingests, the better off he's going to be right from the get-go. That mandates two things. Number one, nutrient density, foods that are nutrient dense, fish and eggs and algae or seaweed, vegetables, chicken soup or bone soup, nutrient density where you're getting nutrition without calories, and then pounding in nutritional supplements. Now, you didn't mention anything about the digestive health. I guarantee he's got digestive health issues. He needs to address those. Strictly from a blood sugar perspective, low glycemic foods, calorie restriction, healthy blood sugar pack, healthy brain and heart pack, pound the water-soluble vitamins. Beyond Tangy Tangerine alone will make a significant difference if he's not supplementing. This will change his life. You guys, this will change the life of somebody who's not supplementing or doesn't know about supplementation. It's nutrient dense, it's liquid, so it goes right to work, and you can use it throughout the day. This is life-changing. And now the Rise and Restore. So focus on blood sugar. If his doctors are not focusing on blood sugar and they're trying to get him to have surgical procedures, they're doctoring him. They're faking him out. They're faking out the body when his body is rotting from the inside via dysglycemia and likely dysbiosis and leaky gut and mast cell activation, all the things that are associated with a digestive health issue. He's going to need a lot of work, but again, the sicker you are, the faster you can begin the turnaround process. Just Beyond Tangy Tangerine will change his life if he's not supplementing, but I would focus on blood sugar as well as the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack.
All right, thank you so much for that. So Leanne, I hope that you were able to get that information. And folks,
I did.
get back to the person that, oh, thank you. Yes.
Yes,
so
I'm
Leanne,
here. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Pharmacist
Leanne.
Ben. I got it all.
Leanne,
Thank you very
Leanne,
much.
did you say this was your dad?
Yes.
Does he have long-standing digestive issues that you know?
Yes, exactly. He does. I didn't put that in the question, but you're absolutely right. He does.
Well, I'm not psychic, Ben. I'm pharmacist, Ben. You don't have to be a psychic to know these things. It's just the way, that's another thing. The body breaks down generically, you guys. We all want to think that our diseases, not we on this call, but people want to think that our diseases, our health challenges are unique and special. They're not. It's generic. It involves toxicity getting into the blood through a leaky gut, dysbiosis, messed up gut bacteria or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, inflammation, attack, stress management, all of these nutritional deficiencies. All of these are generic. They happen to everybody. Our health challenges are not unique, and they don't mandate special treatment. Specialists don't help anybody. When was the last time a specialist helped somebody get rid of their MS or their autoimmune disease or their skin issues or whatever it is? Our diseases are not special. They're generic, and that's why I can say, Leanne, you not knowing that your dad, I can say he had a digestive issue, because everybody does if you're dealing with a chronic health challenge. You can't not have some kind of attack getting into the bloodstream, which means for most of us through the intestine. Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you.
Are you
Thank
the
you
Leanne
very
that
much.
I met many years ago from Denver?
I'm sorry?
You're not the Leanne that I met many years ago in Denver. You don't live in Denver, right?
No, we're in
Okay,
California.
Okay. Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you.
all right. Yes, thank you, Leanne. And Pharmacist Ben, we have 3 more minutes. Do you have
Do
time
one
for
more.
another question?
One more. Yes, one more.
Okay, so Pridget, they had a car accident in 2019. They have extreme jitterness inside the arms, legs. The head feels like I cannot think. I need your help, Pharmacist Ben. In addition to that, I have neck pain.
And I don't know necessarily, is this person on the call?
Yes, let me
Ask
see if
them,
we can get
see if we
them
can get them up.
unmuted. Pridget, can you unmute yourself, please? I just sent you a request to unmute.
I would ask what their health. I would want to know what their health was like before the accident.
Hi.
Who is
Yes,
this?
hi.
Hi, Prumjit.
You know me. You know me, Ben.
Yes.
Pretem's sister.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Pretem's sister?
Yes, in
Okay.
Toronto.
Have we
Yeah.
talked? Oh, yeah, I haven't talked to Pretem for a long time. I think I've talked to you, didn't I? Are you the
At the
gal?
health show.
Yeah. Or did you have the skin issue many years ago? Was that you?
I can't remember. I think it was.
Okay. Are you young? Are you like in your 30s?
No, I'm in my
No.
60s now.
Okay. So, okay. I was thinking somebody else. Okay, Prunji. So what was your health like before the accident?
I had a lot of vertigo.
Okay. So something's percolating inside your body, and I wouldn't attribute it to the accident, although that might have contributed to some of the symptoms. So something's going on inside the body. Vertigo, dizziness usually involves the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are your stress management glands, and they control blood pressure. They're your major blood, along with your kidneys, they're your major blood pressure controlling structures or organs. Every time we stand up, our body has to adjust dramatically. We don't notice this. Every time we change position, every time we go like this or like this, our blood pressure has to adjust accordingly, and the adrenal glands control this. If there is some kind of lack of control because of adrenal dysfunction, you're going to get dizzy every time you stand up or bend down. A lot of people experience this if they drink a lot of coffee. If you bend down and stand up, or if you don't get sleep, these are all signs of adrenal duress. It sounds to me like something's going on in your stress management system, which in turn would imply blood sugar problems and digestive health problems. So I would ask you, if I was, we don't have a lot of time here, and maybe you want to call me and I could work with you personally, but I would ask you what other symptoms you had, because you probably have other things. If you had vertigo before the accident, there's probably other things going on. Well, we can't do it now. We can do it on a call. I'm just kind of giving you the bird's eye view here, but you should call me or somehow connect with me, and I'll give you a little personal consult. But the point I was making is you always, and this is for everybody listening, you always return to the triangle, which is the digestive system, specifically the intestine, but also the stomach and the pancreas and the liver, and that involves nutritional supplements, I-26, nightly essence, ultimate microbiome, daily digest, also strategies like eliminating problem foods, histamine and mast cell activation and FODMAPs, all the foods that can disturb bacteria, probiotic bacteria, commensal bacteria that live in the intestine, as well as immune cells. So you focus on the intestine and other digestive organs, and then you stabilize the blood sugar. You also had the vertigo, so that tells me there's some adrenal issues there. You're going to probably want to do some deep breathing and calm down the adrenal glands and use nutrients for the adrenals. The B vitamins, especially vitamin B5, is very important for the adrenal glands. So the CFX is very important for the adrenal glands. Zinc FX is also important for the adrenal glands. And I will be working there. But first things first, digestive and blood sugar. And that I can talk to you about it when we talk on the phone. Always people suffering from disease and people helping people suffer from disease. Always return to the triangle: the digestive system, the blood sugar system, the adrenal thyroid axis, everything else, heart disease, autoimmunity, movement disorders, Parkinson's, depression, any other chronic degenerative condition is on top of the triangle. Work on the triangle and other things will fall into place. All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Call me if you
Thank you,
need.
Ben.
God bless everybody. And
Yes.
we'll see you not next week, I guess, right?
Oh, not next week, but the following week.
The week after.
Yes.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
Prinjeet, please check the messages, the chat. I've put some information in there for you. And if I can
Okay,
get the
thanks.
co-host up on the line, up on the screen with us.
Thanks, Pharmacist Ben.
Thank you,
Yes.
AJ. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Dr. Wallach. Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you, Albert and Ruth Ellen and Marilyn and all other folks who I didn't mention. And I appreciate you all. And I'm going to go. Bye, everybody.
All right. We appreciate you too. Thank you so much, Pharmacist Ben. Folks, you have been listening to Pharmacist Fridays with Pharmacist Ben and Becca on Daily with Doc.
Bye-bye.
Oh, and Dr. Wallach. That was Dr. Wallach's voice. Thank you so much, Dr. Wallach, for all that you've done, the research, everything that you have empowered us to do as individuals, and also making sure that we know the importance of nutrition. Now, we had somebody wanting to know if chronic kidney disease can be helped. I hope you were listening. When the body's under attack, we got to stop what's attacking it and then give it the nutrition that it needs so the body can do what it was designed to do. Folks, that goes for each and every one of us. And we don't have to wait until our bodies are under attack. We can start now. So get back with the person that shared this program with you. Tell them, hey, I need the 90. If you've got stuff going on, let them know. I have this symptom, this symptom, this symptom. Because folks, there's over 600 different poor health conditions or symptoms linked to nutritional deficiencies. And the nice thing about being part of the longevity family and the products that are included in under their umbrella is that it has nutrition that can be utilized by the body, not just flush through it. So get back to the person that shared this program with you. If there is no one to thank, give us a call at 855-949-3377. Again, 855-949-3377. I know there are questions that we did not get to. Please send us an email at questions@dailywithdoc.com. We are going to use some of these questions for future programs. So make sure that you are following us. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. Make sure that you're either following Critical Health News or Daily with Doc so that you get notification of when we are going live, when we post videos, because the information that we're putting up there is not for our benefit. It's for yours. We care enough about you to make sure that the truth gets out. We heard a lot of truth today, folks. So I really do hope that you share this with those you know, you love. And if you've got a doctor that you have an intimate connection with, as far as being able to really talk to them, share this program with them. Chances are, and we made it clear, it's not their fault. They don't know the information, but they need to hear it. And you heard it, so it's your job to make sure they hear it. Today on the show, we have with us part of my co-host team. We have Phyllis. She and Marilyn were tag teaming it in the chat and putting up information, bringing in the points that just really hit home for people, emphasizing the things that Pharmacist Ben was speaking. That, folks, if you're live with us, I hope you had that open and you did screenshots or took pictures of it that you can then share with others, because it is impactful, the message that is shared on all of our programs. Today is one of, I think, the best. But then, I'm being whatever. So we have Marilyn and Phyllis. Thank you so much, ladies, for all that you do. Phyllis is also watching the different platforms, bringing questions in as they come in and putting them in the chat. We have a special chat that she's adding to as well. We have Albert, who is helping bring the people into the live Zoom. We hit over 50 today, which is fantastic for our live. Folks, you're welcome to join us live also. We're Monday through Friday, except for holidays, from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time. Go to zoom.dailywithdoc.com and make sure that you sign up for our email list. You also get an invitation and an announcement of what's coming up there. You can do that by going to dailywithdoc.com. Look for that sign up. We have Ruth Ellen, who is my executive production manager, helping to make sure that everything is being put together and then pushed out to the streams. Thank you so much, Ruth Ellen, for all that you do and helping to keep us organized as well. And we have AJ, who is helping to get us out on all these different platforms. He does a lot of work in the background, folks, including helping me get this count set up so that we are able to be present where you are. We want to meet you where you're at. Where the people are, we want to be, because this information doesn't have anything to do with where you live, doesn't have anything to do with your genetics. It doesn't have anything to do with the color of your skin. We all need nutrition. All of us. We want to make sure that we all have the opportunity to hear it. My name is Becca Dukes. Thank you so much for joining us here on Daily with Doc and Becca. And I am forgetting something. AJ.
No, I'm adding something. And folks, you don't have to just email because you have a question. You can email and say, hey, this is a topic I'd like to hear discussed, because these are the things that we want to serve everyone.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to email it, you can also text it to 855-949-3377. Sometimes that's easier for people. Again, 855-949-3377. Text in your topic requests of the information that you are wanting to learn about. So thank you, everybody. And if you're really wanting to learn, become a certified holistic health coach with us. Go to coach.dailywithdoc.com. It'll give you more information about our coaching program. And if you would like to save 50%, it's already affordable. But if you want to save another 50% on it, give us a call at 855-949-3377. And our coaches have that code to help you save 50% off on becoming a certified holistic health coach today. Again, that's coach.dailywithdoc.com. Bye for now.
Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.